Ugh. Gosh, how sad. These girls must be poor. They can't afford clothes.
Those girls are not poor, kid!
They're not?
No, sir! Now give me that!
Some of you guys may be like, hold on, isn't there 3 sagas about the Red Ribbon Army? And yeah, you're 100% correct on that, but why am I grouping all these into one video? Well, for starters, it just simply makes sense, and if I'm going to talk about the Red Ribbon Army, I might as well just do it all in one shot. Plus, for some of these sagas, I really don't have much to say. However, before we start things off today, I'd recommend subscribing. About 96% of viewers currently watching do not subscribe. I simply just want to get the word out, of course, and at the end of the day, it is 100% your choice, and I completely understand that. Nevertheless, without further ado, let's get started. So, the first saga, simply titled the Red Ribbon Army Saga, is pretty mediocre, and that's giving it a compliment. A few things that don't work. Goku, for the majority of the time, is alone, and if you watched my previous reviews, that's not a good thing. Goku's character excels best when he's interacting and playing off any other characters. He does, however, meet up with a Frankenstein-looking character named Android 8, but I'm sorry though, that's not enough to save this. Android 8 is your typical pacifist monster, and I can't remember an interesting moment with him. In short, if you were hoping for good character interactions this arc, then too bad. But perhaps maybe the characters and the comedy are taking more of a back seat this time, and perhaps we're going to get an extremely engaging plot. No, that's not the case at all. Instead, this is the most unoriginal Saturday morning cartoon plot I've ever seen in my entire life. The call to action isn't even that interesting in the first place. Goku wants to find his grandfather's 4-star Dragon Ball. It's not a bad motive per se, but I wouldn't say it's amazing either, and it doesn't really personally get me excited to continue watching the show, especially when we had the tournament arc right beforehand. The antagonist? I don't know. I literally can't remember this dude's name or even what he looks like. That's bad. Really bad. From what I can recall, he works as a high-ranking official for the Red Ribbon Army, and that basically he's enslaving a town in pursuit of finding the Dragon Balls. The issue is, he doesn't serve a threat at all. He doesn't have an interesting backstory, or even a backstory for that matter. He's not funny. He's nothing. This guy is your run-of-the-mill pawn. What's even worse is the story structure. Goku spends the majority of his time within a tower, and he's tasked to clear every single floor in order to get to the big baddie at the end. It's your typical floor gauntlet story, and it's not really done in an interesting or an engaging way. These guys don't even pose a threat to Goku, and not once when I was watching I even suspected that he may lose, and not just because he's the protagonist. So we don't have a good supporting cast. We have a completely forgettable Wonder Bread villain, and worst of all, the way the majority of the arc is structured is via a gauntlet of enemies per floor. These enemies, once again, are not interesting whatsoever. The closest thing we get is this random ninja dude. He's your typical trickster and pervert. A few laughs can be had, I suppose, but this guy and everybody else are no match for Goku, except this monster. I actually like the solution on how he defeats it. It's very on the nose, but it's still nice. Aside from that example, Goku, for the most part, bulldozes his way through his enemies. Maybe that's part of the joke that I'm missing. You know, seeing the general's low expectations of Goku getting destroyed and surprising everyone of how strong a child can be. If so, then that's not enough to keep me interested, because there's little to no challenges in this saga whatsoever. Everything became extremely predictable. This is where I started to question whether the previous tournament arc was the peak of what Dragon Ball had to offer to me. And I'll be honest, the only reason why I continued on watching was to keep my promise to make these videos. Otherwise, I might have stopped watching entirely. But there was one saving grace within this saga. Towards the end of the arc, Goku does explore West City. Seeing his reaction to all these new foreign things is generally interesting and funny. Also, the Canadian police officer is very cool. Definitely one of my favorite characters. Actually, wait a minute, is he the best character in this saga? That's fucking sad. The random police officer is the most engaging character. Wow, I just realized that. Thankfully, however, the show does recover somewhat afterwards within the next saga. Bulma's back alongside with Krillin. There's some really hilarious, clever character scenes like I showed you guys earlier. There's a new villain as well. And I can actually remember his name, General Blue. He isn't anything amazing, but he is certainly an improvement over, General White. How did I not remember that? In addition, he does pose a threat at times. One complaint I do have about the General Blue saga is when they're exploring the pirates' hideout. It's a cool location, don't get me wrong, but I feel like it could have been explored upon a bit more. There's no pirates alive. The only foreign interesting thing, aside from the treasure itself, is the guard robot. Again, this isn't a bad thing, but I would have preferred a little bit more world building thrown in here. I will say one thing, this statue's design is disturbing, but at the same time it's very cool. Also, I forgot about Penguin Village. It's technically part of this arc, and again, it's really unique. It's strange too. It's one of those types of places where you know something feels off, but you really can't put your finger on it. Arali is a cooler character than Sano, way more personality. I really like this character's design. The hat and even her run cycle are just pretty cool. It all kind of complements her chaotic, high energy personality. This is the textbook way on how you do a character design. I want to go off on a bit of a tangent because I don't think I've mentioned this before within my video reviews, but Akira Toriyama, if I'm pronouncing that correctly, his artwork has really, truly grown on me. He has a very consistent, charming style that is very easily identifiable within his other works as well. He tends to simplify the eyes especially, but less is more in this case. Even reading the first chapter of the Dragon Ball manga, I just did this because I was just sort of curious and I was trying out the Shonen app. But when I was reading it, there's so much personality, so much energy in his artwork. It's truly inspirational stuff for me personally. Nevertheless, General Blue gets fucked over and he returns to HQ empty-handed, but with a Dragon Raider. Then our boy Mercenary Tao takes stage. The new next villain within the Commander Red saga. And what an improvement. He literally kills General Blue with ease. Finally, a villain who can actually get shit done. So far, he's been the best antagonist within the entirety of Dragon Ball up to this point, but then again, that really isn't saying much. Goku, meanwhile, tracks down another Dragon Ball in possession of this dude and his son, Upa. After a little bit of a scuffle with the Red Ribbon Army, he befriends them, and Upa's father gives Goku his grandfather's 4-star ball. But our boy Mercenary Tao swoops in and fucks shit up. He kills Upa's father and defeats Goku, takes the rest of the Dragon Balls and dips out to get some new clothes. Again, finally a villain who's an actual threat. Even the Red Ribbon Army is scared of Tao. Not gonna lie, this may sound psychotic, but low-key I was rooting for Tao throughout some parts of this arc. Dude, the guy takes a bath hot enough to boil eggs. It's just great to see Goku defeated. Up until this point, he had only lost to Jackie Chun, Also, Tao forgot the 4-star ball, which ended up saving Goku's life. So he's going to return in 3 days. This is a very, very good call to action Goku needs to get stronger for this rematch. In addition, he promises Upa to revive his father with the Dragon Balls after he's collected all 7. However, to defeat Tao, he needs to climb Korin Tower. This is where things get very interesting, and this is where I personally got very engaged into the story again. Korin Tower, aesthetically speaking, looks pretty interesting. We get to see these nice scenic shots as Goku is climbing up the tower, and man, it is so tall. I don't think this thing would be able to exist structurally in real life, but once Goku makes it to the top of the tower, he encounters a cat named Korin, and from there, shit gets fucking real. He's not gonna give over this water easily at all. The challenge is to take it from him. Interestingly enough, Roshi did the same challenge as well, and it took him 3 years. Not gonna lie, I actually wasn't a big fan of Korin. I don't know, I thought he was a little bit too much of a smartass, but it kind of grew on me over time, and I don't know, he's actually one of my favorite characters within the show as well. Just very smug, I guess you could say. Also, another thing I like about this segment is that the sacred water that's supposed to increase your strength is entirely fake. It's just a gimmick, and Korin explains that the water is just simply tap water. I like this because it sort of proves a nice little message that really there are no shortcuts to a certain degree to get stronger or better within any field. It serves as a very interesting placebo effect that is going to fuck over Tao later on. And the interesting thing is, well, to be honest, it is pretty plot convenient, but he does finish the challenge within 3 days, just in time for Tao's grand return. Well, Goku, of course, wins, and it's nice to see that his hard training has paid off. And then the rest of the saga is Goku absolutely fucking over the Red Ribbon Army headquarters. It's no surprise that this was the case. Tao, a hired hitman, was literally their best force. That is fucking pathetic. That's like if Boba Fett was more powerful than the Emperor or Darth Vader. That's the most backwards ass logic I've ever seen. Maybe again, that's sort of the joke and the point. Like, how can an army be defeated by a child, you know? Like, again, with that whole expectations versus reality sort of thing. But for me, at the least, it just kind of comes off as extremely anticlimactic, and that's the issue with the story. They spend 3 sagas with the Red Ribbon Army. I'm sorry, but Akira Toriyama could have shrunken this from 3 arcs to perhaps 1 or 2, especially the first arc out of 3. God, what a fucking slogfest. Dragon Ball has and will prove that it can craft a good call to action in a short period of time. The best narratives are ones that can get to the point right away in the best possible manner. Also, you may think I'll end the video here, but there is another saga. While it doesn't technically involve the Red Ribbon Army, Goku still needs to find 1 more Dragon Ball to revive Upa's father. It isn't too long, so I'll be going over my thoughts briefly. For starters, Baba is an interesting character. I like the fact that she is related to Master Roshi. Also, now that the majority of the group is back together, we get some of that nice character interaction, something that was severely missing from the earlier parts of the Red Ribbon Army sagas. There is a cool tournament vibe to all this, but to be fair, most of these fighters are very forgettable in one note, except one. I'm of course referring to Goku's grandfather Gohan. Not gonna lie, this shit hit me real deep. Goku crying. From my recollection, this is the only time I've seen this kid cry, and it's for such a good, genuine, wholesome reason. It just feels very pure. The story wants you to believe that Goku is this typical stoic hero but deep down inside he's just an ordinary child. Hands down, this is the highlight moment from this specific saga. For the most part, I've said overall pretty good things, but what the fuck? Emperor Pilaf makes a return? Really? I mean, thankfully he gets dealt with pretty quickly, but still. Fuck Pilaf. Pilaf? I think it's Pilaf. This dude has the mentality of a second grader, and I was forgiving of this when he first appeared within the first saga, but come on, what's with this show having fucking terrible Saturday morning cartoon villains? It's just very insulting at this point. The question isn't if Goku can win, it's more of like, okay, how long is this going to take? And again, that's just very sad. Things shouldn't be predictable. So, now that all 7 Dragon Balls have been collected, it's time to revive Upa's father, and Upa acts like a little bitch. He doesn't have the balls to speak up and wish for his father back. Okay, to be fair, he does so eventually, but still, man, I really didn't like Upa. Just super one-dimensional. The only reason why this character is somewhat important is because he's literally the call of action, but other than for the sake of progressing the story, at the end of the day I could really give a rat's ass what happens to his father, and sorry if I sound a bit psychotic, but these two are not engaging characters, they're just plot devices meant to push the story in the right direction, an excuse for Goku to keep collecting the Dragon Balls even after he has his grandfather's 4-star ball, and to inevitably take down the Red Ribbon Army. Other than Corn Tower and some of the Baba arc, I'm not gonna lie, I was extremely disappointed in what I watched. And what I said was true earlier about not wanting to continue on with the show. There definitely were times where I just had to slog it through and bulldoze through each and every single episode. And thankfully though, my patience came in clutch, because finally I've been rewarded. The next World Martial Arts Tournament is about to begin, and Jackie Chun is back. Thank God. I'm fucking done with the Red Ribbon Army. I never want to see them again. Fucking garbage. For the most part, Corn Tower was cool. So, if you're as hyped as I am, tune in and subscribe to see what I have to say. Nevertheless, thank you so much for watching, and have an absolutely wonderful day.